All right, guys, we're with Steve, SCW Wrestling. Steve, what's up, buddy?
Hey, it's great to be back once again. Thank you so much for having me, Ryan. And hey, it's SummerSlam. It's the biggest part of the summer, and MetLife. I am excited. I always love a New Jersey show, so yeah, let's bring this on.
I am excited too. I'm in Boston, 4 hours away, and I'm going, so I'm looking forward to it.
Nice. Night one, night two, or all of it?
All of it. I only have to stay one night, so I'm going to go to both.
Yeah, amazing. I'm a little bit jealous. I'm not going to lie to you. On the other side of the pond, it's a bit difficult for me to make that journey. But hey, man, I hope you have the best time.
Yeah, hopefully you'll get one sooner or later, right? That you can kind of enjoy. But we're here to talk about this match: Naomi, Rhea Ripley, Iyo Sky. Do you think you'll enjoy it at the end of the match? Because they're coming off a very, very successful Evolution angle match. Whatever piece of business, let's just call it. You had an excellent match between Rhea and Iyo cooking up. Right at the crescendo, Naomi throws a swerve that no one saw coming and cashes in her Money in the Bank after earlier being defeated by Jade. Everyone thought she was waiting till SummerSlam to cash it in on Tiffany and Jade, but no. That night when she was broken and down, Iyo and Rhea did not have caution, and she cashed in her Money in the Bank. What did you think of that piece of business?
It was excellent. I mean, to be fair, let's break it down from Rhea and Iyo, their story in general, where Rhea can't get the win over Iyo Sky, and they've been building on that for a long time now. Arguably, if you want to go back, it's kind of years when you go back to the Young Classic. Yeah. But the match they had before Naomi got involved was just absolutely superb. One of my favorite matches of the year so far. They've gone for about 20-25 minutes and just shown that they've earned that spotlight of the main event on that show, which was Evolution. And I would even argue that now that Naomi came in with the big swerve, the big cash in, everyone was talking. This Evolution show and this moment was still being talked about heavily more than a week later. There was an argument. It's not going to happen now because this is on night two. But there's a point where I would have said there was an argument. This could have been a night one main event. The women should have finally had a main event at SummerSlam, and this probably should have been it. But it's not going to be the case. But certainly, I think that this is a match that's got potential to steal the show.
That's a good way to put it, to steal the show, because it's kind of forgotten about on night two. Night two has a plethora of gimmick matches, right? And triple threats in their own ways are gimmick matches because anything goes. It goes without saying. But they have street fights, no disqualifications, TLC, all that stuff, and then add in this match here. This is kind of not talked about as being one of those big rambunctious matches, which they had elements of at Evolution. My quick question to you before we move off Evolution: would you have liked to see a conclusion with that match, or are you totally content with the moment of Naomi? Because they were having an all-time match, in my opinion, and then here's how do I put this? Is there a point where perhaps they peaked in ring and then they used the cash in as a moment to kind of displace their crescendo of in-ring work together? Do you think they'll ever hit that peak again? And would you give that up for that moment?
For me, I think everything played out perfectly on the night. And I would say that as much as, of course, I would have loved to have seen the result of what the match would have been with Rhea and Iyo, that's an excuse now to do that match again further down the line because I want to see that conclusion. Would Rhea have got the job done, or does Iyo get the job done once again? Obviously, we have other shows coming up that could be more fitting because Rhea will eventually get that win, and I think that's the excuse to do the match again. Crown Jewel is in Australia later this year, so there's an excuse to do it there. Should Rhea not be a women's world champion by that point? Should Iyo potentially not be a women's world champion by that point? It's going to be interesting to see. There's many twists and turns. I mean, with the winner of this, they take on Stephanie Vaquer in Paris as well. So who knows who'll be the women's champion by the time they get to Australia. But still, I was fine with it because Naomi has done excellent work with her character change, with her whole presentation. I mean, if you go back to War Games last year, going to be slightly critical here. Going in with a birthday hat, going into one of the most gruesome matches of the year, that wasn't for me. I'm not a fan of that. So the fact that they've actually completely switched everything up and they've made her now a real force, they give her recognition as well. She's someone that obviously walked out of the company with Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné a few years ago, and validation for doing it as well. The fact that now she's come back, she's reinvented herself. She is the champion. that's incredible in itself. It gives a natural progression to this match here at SummerSlam. It sets up this triple threat match, which, like you say, perhaps maybe not one of the big talking matches, but you know what? Maybe it should be. 2/3 of this match is arguably one of the best matches of WrestleMania. You switch out Naomi for Bianca Belair, and my God, that was a hell of an opener on WrestleMania Sunday, if I'm not mistaken. To do that again here would be a lot of fun to see. And honestly, I think there is an argument for every person to win, which I don't think that's the case you can say with every match on SummerSlam. I think some of them look a bit more predictable. This one for me feels slightly more unpredictable. And I think for me, that's one of the reasons why I was quite keen on talking about this particular match.
I want to go down that road of each winner being presented, and I want to hear you present it. But my quick question first is, do you think it would be a misstep if they had this open SummerSlam and have it be too similar to WrestleMania? Just insert new girl with Iyo and Rhea. Is that a misstep, or is that like setting the bar too high, or what?
For me, they always say nowadays that if you are not going to be the main event, the best match to be is the opener, because you are the one that sets the pace, you set the tone for the night. And it's clear to see that the females that have been involved in that position previously, whether it's in main event or opener, have stolen the show and have set the pace for what's been going on. So I've no doubt these ladies could do that once again. If it was my choice on this show, because we have to be realistic here, John Cena and Cody Rhodes is going to main event night 2. I would like this to be the sub main event. That's the position I'd like it to be, because it feels then it's like then the next most important match on the show. And I think that would be quite cool, because you've got, like you mentioned, TLC could be a perfect way to open the night, for example. That would be a great way to go. Solo Jacob in a steel cage, that could be the match that could be potentially before this one.
I forgot about Jesus.
Yeah, there's so many of them, but I think that they'll spread the gimmick matches out. Obviously the main event is one of them as well. So yeah, and we have Becky and Lyra, if I'm not mistaken, on Sunday as well. So maybe that can be the earlier match too. Yeah. And this one then, obviously being a women's world championship match, should be towards that main event spot. But either way, whatever happens, I'm feeling confident about this one. It's going to be one that I think people are going to talk about quite highly come the end of the weekend.
I love this fifth. I don't know if I would have thought of that, but I really like that. I like this fifth. That's a great call, Steve. All right, let's go down the road of Rhea Ripley winning this match. Why do you think she would make a good case to win this match?
The obvious elephant in the room is Crown Jewels in Australia in October. If you are not going to crown her champion on that show, now is the start to do a build to get her to have a meaningful reign on the road to there. Dare I say, Stephanie Vaquer is waiting at Clash in Paris. So, I mean, dream match anybody, I would like to see Rhea Ripley versus Stephanie Vaquer as soon as possible. So I'm quite keen to see Rhea win this match. I just think that there is a easy progression for Rhea to win the match and to see where she goes next. The only thing which goes against that at this particular time is, she's not been able to beat Iyo Sky, but she can beat Naomi, I guess. That's the thing that will get her through this match. However, she's been blowing big matches in 2025. Many occasions, she's felt like when it's the prize matters the most, that's when she drops the ball, which is not like Rhea Ripley in previous years, but in 2025, it's a thing. So it does add the asterisk of whether she will do it or not. But would you agree that Australia is probably the key component here of why maybe it could be the right time to put the belt back on Rhea Ripley?
So I think that she is the least likely to win. That's why I brought her up first. I think that her winning in Australia, Perth to be example, would be more ideal than her winning in New Jersey, right? Yeah. And I think I could just see Naomi Evolution being like a way to make a moment and celebrate Evolution and celebrate Naomi, right? And then it's just be a moment, not the story. And then the story is Iyo and Rhea, and they could build up Iyo and Rhea all the way to Perth. I think Rhea winning at Perth is more likely. That's kind of why I think having her here last, because last time she was in Perth, she did main event against Nia Jax, but she was champion. And for her to go in trying to reclaim that spot again is another added addition to the Perth crowd, where she's established as a main eventer too. And if you're ever going to main event a show with Iyo and Rhea, why not do it in Perth, right? So I do think that Rhea is the least likely to win here, unfortunately for her. And to play into your part of her not being able to complete her story here in 2025.
Absolutely. The only thing that makes me think that she could win is why I've got her in second place, dare I say,
Okay.
is because the Crown Jewel Championship is something that WWE introduced. And it's, of course, women's champion versus women's champion. And if they're
Ah,
not going to have all, let's say that Rhea, it's only the spot is the women's championship match. That's the spot on the card, because women's wrestling doesn't always get multiple matches on these shows unless it's the Evolution show. That might be a key on. But as the show's in Perth, Australia, if Rhea's not champion, like you say, it's Rhea bloody Ripley. She will still find a way on that card. I think that's very safe
as
to
she
say.
should. As she should. Now that you remind me of the Crown Jewel champion versus champion, that is definitely a curveball. So perhaps you would have to get the belt there, unless if, they're like weirdly into these triple threats. This is like the year of triple threats, so maybe she finds her way into that champion versus champion thing. I don't know. That's still weird booking, right? But 2025 has honestly been kind of weird in a way. So, all right. Well, my second most likely to win this, the middle, let's just call it the middle, is Iyo Sky. I could see a lane where, like I said a little bit ago, that Iyo, the story is her being champ heading towards a Rhea match and the inevitable Rhea win. And Naomi is just kind of a road bump there for the moment. So the story is more important than another moment. Just flip it back to her a few weeks later here. I already went into detail here. So what do you think of Iyo Sky, and why would you see her as a champion heading into Crown Jewel?
I mean, Iyo Sky, if you was to get my opinion, favorite female wrestler along with Stephanie Vaquer, I think currently Iyo is possibly the best women's wrestler in the world right now. I think that every performance she's had and chance to stand out in 2025 has been absolutely flawless. And I think she has shown herself to be worthy of being women's world champion. And I think although her reign started quite calmly, she wasn't always on TV despite being champion, that reign was starting to grow and get momentum. You could argue that Naomi has stolen that momentum, which is what caused a lot of the buzz in that last moment. But Iyo Sky, for me to go and win the title back, I am of course in favor of. Again, Iyo Sky versus Stephanie Vaquer. We've not had an ultimate winner, and they've been building that story up for a couple of months now, so there is that argument there. But I'm not going to reveal right now if Iyo is my number one or my number three.
And I think another reasoning why is the Vaquer Paris match. I feel that we're more, even though you want to see Rhea more, I just feel like they're telling us that Iyo versus Vaquer is more sudden than Rhea versus Vaquer, right? So
Yeah.
I kind of do like how Vaquer is lingering around all this with the 8-woman tag last night. And I don't know, what's that weird Nikki Bella friendship? It's just Nikki Bella was her idol when she was a girl, right? So it's weird.
It's one of those things, isn't it? But yeah, it kind of works. It felt like a Survivor Series dream team last night on Raw, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, it was cool. It was cool. I like the it was very AEW-ish in a positive way, doing that on a Monday Night Raw before PLE. It felt like it worked.
Yeah, I agree, 100%.
All right, my number one is Naomi. I feel that Naomi is a transitional champion, but that transition isn't happening yet. We've given Naomi flowers for days, and she deserves this spot. This is the year of Naomi. She's crushed it throughout, and she found herself in a unscheduled title reign, and that's probably why it's transitional. I know some people would like to see it longer, but I think it's either done in the middle or the start of the fall. Low key, maybe tonight or night of SummerSlam, maybe. But that's the start of her descent as champion. I think it's just going to be a hot flash, and she's just going to kind of, similar to Nia Jax, kind of dissipate into her role. But she's a lot more interesting than Nia Jax, even though Nia Jax has really been a success. But that's the role that I look at Naomi kind of falling into, if that makes any sense to you.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from, because there's Nia Jax had a place.
Yes.
Even though she was champion, even though she was queen of the ring, she was never, it sounds a bit harsh to say, but she wasn't presented as the face of the entire division despite being champion. And you always knew that story that was in the background with Tiffany Stratton was going to lead to Tiffany's crowning moment. It was always that inevitability. And I can see what you mean here with Naomi, because Naomi is someone that's been there and done it before. And even though she's completely revamped and refreshed that character, She's not undefeated. She lost on Evolution earlier in the night before she cashed in. It's Money in the Bank that's got her to this position. So therefore, you can make the argument. And of course, it was mentioned to on Raw last night, and I want to say it was from Jackie Redmond. It could have been one of the other reporters, but it was said, look, you cashed in and became champion. This time, Rhea and Iyo are prepared for you. They know you're going to be there. So how are you going to cope? And of course, Naomi had to, push the question a little bit away. And of course, throws in a proceeds with caution and stuff like that. But she probably feels like an underdog going into this match in a weird way because of the Money in the Bank briefcase. But sometimes that can lead to her strength. Like you said, is it a transitional period? It may be. She may have a few runs as champion. Time will tell on that one. But I will now reveal that, because I think it's the right time, I do have Iyo in third. And yes, I have Naomi to retain because I think she seems like that the odds are stacked against her. But I think that lightning will strike twice, and I think she will retain the gold here.
Yeah, it just feels like it would be too quick in a way, right?
100%.
And with the triple threat stipulation, you still have some of the same elements that she was able to take advantage of at Evolution. So I feel like, yeah, she'll be quite all right. Now, if her reign was to continue, I feel like she's smart, obviously, as a character-wise. Naomi's a smart character. She was plotting, and she took advantage of situations. I feel like the plotting nature could kind of creep up, and she could isolate herself with other women, right? And either if it's Jordan Grace or like a Lash Legend, she could call a girl up from NXT and just kind of put her title reign. I was trying to think of a cute way to tie in caution to try to take away her caution as women's champion, if that makes any sense. Like a Diesel to her Shawn, like someone to watch her back. I always thought that it would be Grace because they have TNA past, and even when Grace was in the Rumble and Amy returned to the WWE, they presented that on WWE TV, right? And I don't know, I just feel like Lash Legend would fit too, and it would be something like that. So I don't know, just because she was in the Evolution Battle Royal or she was presented as like a Diesel type approach, she kind of came to mind too as well. What do you think of Naomi kind of getting like a heater?
I'm not against the idea. I like the idea of her being on her own at the moment because of the fact that she feels so unhinged that you don't quite know where she's going to go next. But I think, like you say, there comes a point where she could also get a bit reckless. And if she has that person there, that heater to keep her in check, just to know that maybe she can make maybe a couple of reckless moves, but not something that's, if we play on the chessboard, something that's going to lead to a checkmate, you don't want to do something like that. You want to try and do something that's going to be strategic to try and take away one of the key pieces. So I think that a heater would make sense in time for Naomi. I'm not sure that moment is just yet here at SummerSlam, though, but certainly something that we could keep an eye out further down the line.
Yeah, someone to reel in the caution and have her back, right? Because now she needs to, if she wants to stay champion, she kind of has to evolve and get wider eyes. And yeah, it's like you said, chess instead of checkers as champion. All right, I'm going to stick with Naomi as we're at the end here to kind of with the final predictions. You had her number one. Do you kind of agree?
Yeah, I think Naomi, it's people will be really crapping all over this if she has the title for a couple of weeks. It'll be bashing on Money in the Bank as well, especially it doesn't mean anything to the women's division. All of the good work that's been done can be undone if Naomi drops that title within a couple of weeks of winning it. So the right move here is for Naomi to retain the championship here. You could make the argument that it may be better that Rhea takes the pinfall, but I would expect Iyo Sky to be the one again to take the pinfall. And obviously then we move on to Naomi versus Stephanie Vaquer at Clash in Paris. And another mouth-watering match that I'll be very much looking forward to.
My next question was the pinfall. We had Iyo lose it at Evolution. I don't think it really matters, but I wonder if they would want to protect Rhea heading into the fall, as we kind of projected a big fall for Rhea. So interesting. All right.
I tell you, could be the reason that Rhea takes the fall is because she cannot beat Iyo Sky. So Iyo is going to be the one that has the match won, and then Naomi steals the fall. It's not the fact that Naomi can pin Rhea; it's the fact that Iyo got the job done.
And then it's like a reverse decision the other way. Yeah. A nice, cute layer there. All right, SCW Wrestling. What's going on over there, Steve?
Yeah, so if you want to know more about SummerSlam predictions, I've got a full podcast that will be available on the channel for you very shortly. So make sure to check out the channel, say SCW, the wrestling channel on YouTube. You can follow on TikTok, X, Instagram, all the good places as well. So yeah, plenty of wrestling content, podcast form, short form, 10-minute video form as well. So there's all variety of predictions, reviews, retro, topical, Q&As, all fun flavors for you. So depending on what your flavor of ice cream is, come on over. We've got the one for you.
Well, guys, you heard his prediction here for this match. There's 12 other matches that he's going to dive into there. So go check it out on SCW Wrestling. And Steve, thank you, buddy.
Thanks for having me on. It's been a lot of fun, and hope to do this again sometime in the near future.
Absolutely. See you soon, buddy.